We're here at the NAMM show. People have been talking about this KODA sampler. Finally found the booth. Jaden Lawrence here to tell us what's up with it.
Well, as you said, KODA is a sampler. That means it's a platform for developing sample libraries and virtual instruments. And the philosophy behind it is to make it as accessible, easy to use, and enjoyable to use for anyone regardless of their background and technical prowess, you could say. So a lot of that comes into the UI and making it just pleasant to use and taking away the need for scripts, essentially, in as many places as we can and putting it into the UI. So I guess while we've got this script up, you can already potentially see in the side pane on the panel on the right here, we've got mic positions and round robins. These are all contained in a single zone and are handled for you without any scripting.
No scripting. So wait a minute. He was just clicking not just that there are round robins in that one zone, but also mic positions in the same thing?
Yes. Yeah, so that's showing us that there are 4 mic positions contained in this single zone. Now that means we can change any of the parameters or the properties of the zone here, and it will apply across all mic positions in one go without needing to apply the same properties across multiple groups, for instance.
Whoa.
So we can see in the groups list, this is another thing that we do a bit differently. We have a hierarchy. At the top level, the parent group, we have the articulations. Now, they're self-explanatory in a way. We can have variations of articulations. In this case, we've got some rolls and tremolos. The dynamics are split up into different groups. And then we've got the group level. And at the bottom group level here, that is where all of the mic positions and round robins are handled. We only need to make changes to this one single group.
Now, is it possible to make these screens resizable?
I'm glad you asked. It absolutely is. They are dynamically resizable. We can pop them out into their own window as well. You can pop them out like this, undock them, and you can have the mapping window on a second screen if you work that way. We have this nifty little mini map there to help you navigate a large mapping window here. And you can have your lane editor open on a second page. In fact,
Lane editor?
Well, yes. We can edit our samples in a DAW style timeline. Now what this allows for is to move clips around in time as you would be familiar with in any DAW. We can add fades at the start and at the end of the clips. You can trim clips, trimming in at the start and the end. We can do slip edits to move the contents of the clips back and forth.
Hold on a minute. If you can do this, then you could be editing, say, legato samples, where you have the legato at the beginning as the one clip, stitching that onto a sustain sample, all inside of KODA?
Exactly right. You can have multiple clips on the same lane, crossfade from one into the other, whether that's putting release samples onto attacks, whether it's going from transition samples into sustains for legato, or whether it's just for sound design purposes, or even extending sustains. You can duplicate a clip however many times you want just to keep your own loop there.
So this means I wouldn't have to spend so many hours committing bounces to audio files in Pro Tools or Reaper.
Exactly, which is something that I'm sure we've all had to do at some point, speaking for myself in particular. And the beauty of it is once it's in KODA, you can play it back live with MIDI to audition your changes, tweak it as you go, and you'll know exactly how it's going to sound in the final product. And then a single lane still only counts as one voice from a performance perspective.
Huh. So that's playing round robins right now, what he was just doing. Mind you, you can barely hear it because we don't have the audio going into my video.
There were round robins indeed.
Huh.
And so I don't know if you caught that, but you could see the orange little dots showing up to show us which round robin we're triggering at a time. And if you heard round robin 4 and you thought, no, that's my favorite, I want that to be the first one, you can drag that and reorder your round robins and it will play in sequence like that. If you decide that number 3 was a flub, you can delete that completely. It doesn't matter. The round robin cycling system is per zone. So if you have 10 round robins in this zone, 5 round robins in another, they will just work within their own number of round robin cycles.
Huh. That definitely makes things easier.
I like to think so.
Now, you know, I'm seeing these things here. What if I didn't want these? Let me delete those because I think those aren't good samples.
Go for it. Easy peasy, delete key, gone.
Oh, delete a couple more.
Okay.
Oh, what was I thinking? Can we put those back?
Are you serious? Of course we can.
You mean there's an undo function in this?
Command Z.
I didn't think that was possible in samplers to undo.
So this is still in development. We are still actively adding features as we get more feedback from developers, and we still have our own list of things to add. The UI is pretty nice, but there's still some polish to add to it. But we've got some pretty cool features to go in, like overlap detection with your zones and how to manage overlapping or even little gaps, because sometimes we're dealing with 127 velocity layers. You can't always see little overlaps or the little gaps, and they can be a problem. So we've got some tools to help either fill them automatically or highlight them to let us know, buddy, you've got some overlaps, you might want to address them.
Now, does this have effects?
Effects, it does. So the developer has their own routing page where they can add their insert effects, such as the usual, the ones like reverb, delays. We've got convolutions, stereo wideness limiters, EQs, etc., etc. And we also excitingly have, at the moment, it's labeled as a C major patch. Now, C major is a scripting language we support that is, it supports DSP and building your own effects. So you can, if for whatever reason you don't like our reverb, you can script your own reverb, guitar, fuzz pedal effects. You can collaborate with other plugin manufacturers and have your own custom effects built in.
So could you even do an auto-tune plugin?
Yeah, auto-tune. It's all within the world of DSP.
I guess because since this is C major, which is in the C family of languages,
Exactly.
then yeah, whatever. Wow. So is this multi-timbral? Can you have multiple instruments loaded at once?
It is multi-timbral. And as you just explained, you can have multiple instruments from multiple libraries from multiple developers, all loaded at once, receiving from different MIDI channels, if you like, and also sending to different outputs themselves.
Huh. Now, somebody was telling me that this also offers delay compensation built in.
Yeah, so we synchronize the delay, the pre-roll values for delay compensation. So if you've ever used a track pre-delay value in order to line up your samples on the beat, you know how tedious that can be when you've got a multi-timbral instance, you're using different instruments and they all have their own delay values. One might be 50 milliseconds, one might be 20. So we have a way of synchronizing all loaded instruments in an instance to the same offset value so that that one track will be in time across all instruments.
So what else can you tell us about this?
So for developers, you might be wondering, well, okay, well, what is my library going to look like in the end? You'll have full control over your GUI, just as you would in other major platforms, let's put it that way. So you can still build your UI the same way that you might already be doing.
How do you build your UIs?
Well, we have a method using an online platform called Figma. It's free to use, and it's a UI designing platform that will let you literally design your UI how you want it to appear in the final form. So you can build out your different UI elements. You just need to give it a few properties, like telling it whether it's a knob or a toggle button, etc., which is all handled in Figma, no need for scripting. And then we export it from Figma using a plugin we've developed, which will allow Kota to load that file as your UI.
Just directly from Figma?
Just directly from Figma.
Buttons and everything, the knobs will work then?
The knobs will work, the sliders will work. So if you're familiar with utilities like NAMM we essentially have our own versions of that help you create sliders and the animations. They'll be exported as vector graphics, which allows them to be completely and dynamically resizable.
Resizable?
Resizable. Look at that. Glorious. What else is kind of cool is if we click between the different instruments in the sidebar, there's this lovely little transition animation to help you get to that GUI nice and quick.
Little drops and stuff.
We're all about the workflow here.
Now, I had heard that this also does automatic key switches. How does that work?
Right, so that's part of our codeless approach to building the libraries. And you might remember that in our groups list, we specifically had an articulation group type. Now, each articulation is automatically assigned its own key switch on the keyboard. So at the moment, we have 4 key switches automatically created for us that line up with the order that they're in here. If you want
automatically.
If you want your soft hits to be the 4th key switch, then you can just rearrange the list of articulations, and now that changes the order of how they're triggered.
And again, this is with no coding.
This is with no coding.
I'm seeing Reala Banjo on there, but Reala Banjo has animation. You can't do animation in KODA.
I was thinking like...
What? So this is still in development then, right?
It is still in development. We still have a nice long list of features to put in ourselves, and we're gathering feedback at NAMM. Super helpful feedback that we want to implement before sending it out as a beta version, which will be available possibly in 2 to 3 months to anyone who signs up to our early access list at kodasampler.com. That's kodasampler with an R on the end, .com.
Well, thanks, Jaden.
No worries. Thanks, Mike.